The king of Wushu, a legendary figure in the world of martial arts and cinema, renowned not only for his exceptional physical prowess, but also for the charisma that has captivated audiences worldwide.
I don't need to know you. You only need to know me.
Jet Li is a Chinese and Singaporean actor, a master of Wushu. What job did the President of the United States offer him? What word was he unable to pronounce on the set of the film Shaolin Temple? And how did he land a role in an American movie without knowing English? We'll share all the most fascinating details about the life of this martial arts master in our new video.
You're dealing with me now, so get ready!
Jet Li, how the Jet Wushu master lives. A chance encounter with Wushu. On April 26, 1963 in Beijing, a child named Li Lianjie was born into a large family. At least that's how his name is pronounced in Mandarin Chinese, but in Cantonese, it's Lei Lin Git or Li Ling Kit. When the boy was not even 2 years old, his father passed away, leaving the family without its primary breadwinner, plunging them into poverty. Li's mother, Zhang Fenglan, became overly protective of her youngest son, forbidding him from any activity that posed even the slightest danger. While all his peers played outside, Li would watch them from the window. He started school later than most, at the age of 8. However, he was a diligent student, never misbehaving, always completing his homework, and was nearly a straight-A student. The only subject he struggled with was music. On the other hand, his physical education teacher allowed the eager first grader to stand by and help count during exercise routines. It didn't take long for Li's potential to become apparent. After the first grade, all students were sent to a summer sports camp outside of Beijing, where they were divided into 4 groups: soccer, swimming, gymnastics, and Wushu. Lianjie, or just Jie as he was called, was randomly placed in the Wushu group. Being the obedient student, he followed the coach's instructions precisely. He practiced martial arts for 2.5 hours every day throughout the summer. By the start of the new school year, the coach selected 20 particularly talented students for further training. Li was the youngest of them, as the others were all in the 5th or 6th grade. The coach replaced his father. Li enjoyed his training, but he especially grew fond of his coach, Wu Bin. Wu cared for his student, even buying meat for Li's family since they couldn't afford it themselves. He became a father figure for the boy, as Li had no memories of his real father, and Wu taught him to never give up. His guidance and patience will forever remain deep in my heart, Li would later say about his mentor. Every day after school, Li would train at the sports academy with older classmates. The building was very old, and by winter, it became too cold to continue training indoors. However, the training didn't stop. The students were sent outside to practice. Li's mother disapproved of this, and when her 9-year-old son injured his knee and was bedridden, she tearfully begged him to quit. Not wanting to upset his mother, Li mustered up the courage to tell his coach that he was quitting Wushu. "Be a brave boy, not a coward," was the coach's reply. His words struck Li deeply, and he immediately regretted his decision. The next morning, he went to the gym as usual. Soon, the talented student was sent to the national championship, where he won 3 gold medals. For the trip, Li's mother gave him 5 yuan as pocket money, and he was overjoyed. He had never had that much money before and eagerly anticipated buying himself an ice cream. However, just before the competition, he discovered the money was missing. After the tournament, it turned out that the coach had taken it, concerned that Li, who grew up in poverty, might waste it frivolously. He returned the money afterward and advised Li to spend it wisely. Following this advice, the boy bought a few pencils with the tournament logo and gave the rest back to his mother. Intense training. From that point on, Li was excused from regular school lessons and transferred to a dedicated Wushu school, where he only returned home on weekends. Every day, the students were awakened at 6 a.m. by the loud sound of a bell. Within a minute and a half, they were expected to be standing in formation in their sports gear. After a quick warm-up, they brushed their teeth and ate breakfast. Full training sessions started at 8:30 a.m. and lasted until noon. After lunch, the students would sometimes take a nap, but foreign delegations frequently visited the school, and the boys had to give demonstrations of their martial arts skills. Evening training started at 7:30 p.m. and lasted 3 hours, followed by lights out. At the time, power outages were a common occurrence in Beijing, and the sports school was typically disconnected from the grid on Fridays. The students were usually relieved because that meant the evening training session would be canceled. However, the coach soon decided to hold the sessions anyway, using a flashlight for light. During one of these dark training sessions, Lee twisted his ankle, but he didn't dare mention it for 2 days, fearing punishment. His leg became so swollen that the coach noticed and sent him for an X-ray, which revealed a fracture. Although his leg was put in a cast, Lee wasn't excused from training. He was carried to the gym, where he practiced hand strikes while leaning against the wall. At one point, Lee was selected to perform at the World Table Tennis Championship, not as a competitor, but to showcase Wushu, a martial art for which China is renowned. He participated in 3 routines, which he perfected through countless repetitions. After the performance, the students were invited to meet Zhou Enlai, the premier of the People's Republic of China, who praised the young fighters. For the young Lee, this was a tremendous honor. Discovering America. When China decided to select its top athletes for a competition in the United States, 11-year-old Li Lianjie was among those chosen. The trip turned out to be a cultural shock for him. For instance, before their departure, the team was trained in Western table manners, learning how to eat with a fork and knife. Imagine their surprise when they saw their American security guards eating chicken with their hands. The athletes were also briefed on how to interact with the media, what they could and couldn't say, and were warned that their hotel rooms might be bugged. Lee decided to test this by loudly proclaiming in his room that he wanted chocolate and ice cream. The next day, to his amazement and delight, he found both treats waiting for him when he returned. At their final performance in Washington, Lee met the US President Richard Nixon, whose administration, ironically, was responsible for wiretapping. Nixon praised the boy's skills and jokingly offered him a job as his bodyguard when he grew up. Lee responded that he didn't want to protect just one person. He wanted to protect his fellow countrymen. His words were widely reported in the media, with many expressing surprise at the level of patriotism in China. However, at that moment, Lee began to question the ideology pushed by the Chinese government. He had been taught that everything Western was bad. Yet he couldn't bring himself to believe that the suburban American houses with pools in the backyard were evil. Most importantly, the myth of evil Americans was shattered. Everyone he met was friendly, and if any of the security guards were strict, it was only for the athlete's safety. Lee returned to China with new insights about the world. He also brought his mother a gift, a Swiss watch bought with his prize money. Interestingly, this trip was also when Lee first became aware of China's territorial dispute with Taiwan. At an American airport, he saw a plane labeled China Airlines and excitedly shouted, "Look, a plane from China!" It turned out the plane was from Taiwan, and his outburst nearly caused a diplomatic incident. The next Bruce Lee. From 1975 to 1979, Lee became China's Wushu champion every year. During this period, he mastered all the primary Wushu weapons, several styles of the martial art, and even a few other combat disciplines. However, at the age of 18, his athletic career was cut short by a knee injury. Lee then became an assistant coach for the Beijing Wushu team until film studio representatives scouted him. They offered to make him a movie star, the next Bruce Lee. Interestingly, as a child, Lee admired the talented actor and martial artist Bruce Lee, and never imagined that their names would one day be mentioned in the same breath. It's worth noting that a Hong Kong producer had noticed Lee as early as when he was 11. During a demonstration, the man asked the young athlete, "Do you want to become an action movie star when you grow up?" Lee replied, "Why not?" In 1982, Lee finally became old enough to take on a lead role in an action film. His debut was in Shaolin Temple, which eventually became a trilogy. For each day of filming, Lee earned just 1 yuan. The story is about a former slave who escapes his oppressors and finds refuge in a monastery.
Master, I'll kill Wang Yingqi. Please teach me Kung Fu.
We have rules. Shaolin Kung Fu is for defense, not for killing. Also, you're not a monk.
Master, I want to be a monk.
Interestingly, one of the most challenging scenes for Lee was when his character had to call out for his father. Having grown up without a strong father figure, Lee struggled to say the word father in the scene. The director ended up changing it to a different term for father, which was also difficult for the young actor, but they eventually managed to film the scene. Lee later remarked that he only truly understood the role of a father when he had children of his own. All 3 Shaolin Temple films became wildly popular in Hong Kong and China. It was during the promotion of the first film in the Philippines that Lee adopted the stage name Jet Li. Advertisers thought his real name was too difficult to pronounce and compared him to a jet plane taking off. Thus, the name Jet was born. A loveless marriage and new projects. In 1987, Jet Li married fellow athlete Huang Qiuyan, whom he had met on the Chinese national Wushu team. Interestingly, she also appeared in Shaolin Temple. Later, Jet admitted that he proposed out of a sense of obligation. Qiuyan came from a wealthy family and had supported him for many years. When his health suddenly deteriorated, a superstitious relative suggested marriage, believing that such a joyful event would bring positive energy and help with his illness. The marriage produced 2 daughters, but in 1990, the couple divorced. During this time, Lee continued to work on other films, including the war action film Born to Defense and the crime thriller Dragon Fight. In 1991, he presented the action drama Once Upon a Time in China, set in the late 19th century.
而家關乎人命，我都要揾衙門同洋人澄清呢件事。如果唔係我哋唐人，點喺佛山住落去？
The film was shot in Hong Kong and in Cantonese, a dialect Jet didn't speak, so his voice had to be dubbed during post-production. While filming one of the scenes, Lee injured his leg, which required a body double for parts of the final fight scene. In other shots, the camera focused on his upper body to avoid showing the cast on his leg. The following year, 2 more installments of Once Upon a Time in China were released, along with action films The Master and The Legend of the Swordsman. Jet then followed up with 2 parts of the historical film The Legend, as well as action films Tai Chi Master, Last Hero in China, Kung Fu Cult Master, The New Legend of Shaolin, and a remake of Bruce Lee's 1972 film Fist of Fury, titled Fist of Legend.
Precision, and don't forget about speed. If you practice every day with these things in mind, then you'll begin to develop a fighting mode. See? What I'm trying to say is, it's instinctive.
Lee worked extensively in Hong Kong during this period, releasing multiple films each year. These included crime action films like The Bodyguard from Beijing, The Enforcer, High Risk, the action film Dr. Y, In the Scripture with No Words, the sci-fi action flick Black Mask, and the Asian Western Once Upon a Time in China and America.
Your people are very lucky. This is your land. This is your home. But I don't know who I am or where to go.
First filming in the US. After starring in the Hong Kong film Hitman, Jet Li was invited to join the cast of the 1998 American action blockbuster Lethal Weapon 4. alongside Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, and Joe Pesci.
一切都安排好了，放心吧。美国到处都是法律，但都是人写的。钱可以改变一切。
Initially, the role of the villain was offered to Jackie Chan, but he declined because he didn't want to play a negative character. Jet, however, accepted the offer and began learning English at an accelerated pace. At that time, he only knew a few basic phrases like good morning and thank you. For the audition, Jet asked a friend to record the script on tape and memorize the lines by ear. After landing the role, the studio hired an English tutor for him, and Jet began by learning the alphabet using flashcards before progressing to full words. He continued studying English after filming, dedicating 4 hours a day to lessons with his tutor. In 1999, Jet married again, this time for love. His new wife was a successful Hong Kong actress, Nina Lee Chi, often compared to Marilyn Monroe in the East. Nina started her career by winning the Miss Asia Pacific beauty pageant in Hong Kong and went on to become one of the highest paid actresses in the country. After leaving the film industry, she ventured into business, which unfortunately collapsed in 1996, leading her to step away from public life. Jet deeply respects her decision, and the couple keeps their personal life out of the spotlight. Shortly after their wedding, Nina became pregnant, and Jet promised not to leave for any film shoots until their child was born. This is why he turned down the offer to star in the fantasy action film Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. The role of Li Mubai ultimately went to actor Chow Yun-fat. Romeo Must Die. In 2000, Jet Li and Nina welcomed the birth of their daughter, Jane. That same year, the American crime action film Romeo Must Die, filmed a year earlier, was released.
This guy has found you up here. You're gonna have some serious problems, so I suggest you go out the window.
No, I like this way.
All right, it's your funeral.
The movie became a box office hit, and Jet earned a $2.4 million salary for his role as a Chinese mobster, despite still struggling with his English. While performing action scenes with Anthony Anderson, Lee suffered rib bruises. He also contributed an idea for a fight scene involving Aaliyah's character battling a woman on a motorcycle. Interestingly, an alternate ending was filmed in which Jet Li's character and Aaliyah's character share a kiss. However, Jet felt that this ending was overly romantic and out of place for the film. Audiences in test screenings agreed, so the final version was edited to exclude the kiss. Lee enjoyed working with Aaliyah, whom he found to be a very talented young woman, and he was deeply saddened by her tragic death in a plane crash in 2001. Since then, Vancouver, where Romeo Must Die was filmed, has brought back memories of her for Jet. Kiss of the Dragon. In 2001, the sci-fi action film The One hit theaters, earning Jet Li a $7.5 million paycheck. Additionally, he made another $5 million for starring in Kiss of the Dragon.
I know you've had some bad experiences trusting people. But if I gave you my word, you will be safe.
Interestingly, the fight scenes in Kiss of the Dragon were tailored to audience preferences, making the action more realistic compared to Romeo Must Die. The fight between Jet Li's character and Cyril Raffaelli had to be slowed down because the actors moved too quickly for the camera to capture their movements properly. In another scene, where Li's character attacks the pimp Lupo, the plan was to shoot the dialogue and the fight separately. However, after the lines were exchanged, for some reason, the director didn't yell "cut," and Li proceeded with the attack. This take was used in the final cut, capturing Max Ryan's genuine surprise during the scene. Remarkably, CGI was only used twice in Kiss of the Dragon. In the scene where Jet Li's character falls down a laundry chute surrounded by flames, and when he kicks a billiard ball. Another notable fact is that the tunnel in which Li's character is pursued by the French police is the same one where Princess Diana tragically died. missed out on The Matrix, but became a hero. In the early 2000s, Jet Li was offered the role of Seraph in the second and third parts of The Matrix, a role the Wachowskis had specifically written with him in mind. However, Li declined, stating that the role wouldn't require his martial arts skills, and that the Matrix films were too iconic to warrant adding his name to the cast, suggesting that someone else should take the part. Interestingly, Li has expressed his admiration for the Wachowskis, but he's not fond of what they did to the action genre. According to him, after The Matrix, every action film involved people fighting while flying through the air. Instead of starring in The Matrix, Jet chose to take on the lead role in the 2002 historical fantasy film, Hero.
He said that Snow would avenge his untimely death. If you agree to the challenge, meet me at the Qin army camp tomorrow.
To play Nameless, the prefect of Qin, Li reportedly agreed to a reduced salary, although he still earned a substantial 70 million yuan, approximately $8 million US. In 2003, Li's family welcomed another daughter, Jada, and in the same year, the action film Cradle to the Grave was released. Additionally, Li participated in the creation of the video game Jet Li, rise to honor through motion capture technology, and also voiced the main character. A Dangerous Vacation. In 2004, Jet Li went on vacation with his family to the Maldives, where they were caught in a tsunami. Initially, there were reports that the actor had died, but he only injured his leg while saving his daughter and her nanny. They were in the hotel lobby when the wave hit, and Jet, grabbing his daughter, ran to higher ground, encountering floating furniture along the way. This incident had a profound effect on Li, and a few years later, he founded the nonprofit organization One Foundation. The charity works alongside the Red Cross to provide disaster relief and aid to those in need. In January 2005, the dramatic action film Unleashed, also known as Danny the Dog, was released. In the movie, Li portrayed a man raised in brutal conditions, with the script specifically written for him by Luc Besson.
I want a piano. How about a woman? You've never had a woman? I want a piano. Danny, you're starting to piss me off. I want a piano.
The last martial arts film. A year later, Fearless was released, an action biopic shot in the mountains. Jet initially felt fine, but on the fourth day of filming, he fainted and fell from a height of 11.5 feet. Attempts to open an oxygen tank failed, and it took 3 hours to get him to a hospital.
Father, you were real fast, but not fast enough. Your heart was too soft. But don't you worry. As long as I live, your Wushu will never be defeated. I swear to it.
Jet refused to perform certain moves in the fight choreography for ethical reasons. He felt that slapping and headbutting his opponent seemed disrespectful toward Europeans and Americans. During the sword fight scenes, the actors broke at least 6 blades. The day after filming wrapped, Anthony de Longis gifted Jet a real Spanish sword as a keepsake. While promoting Fearless, Jet Li announced that it would be the last film in which he showcased his martial arts skills, stating, "I believe I've shown enough of my abilities in this area." At the time, he was also heavily involved in charity work, becoming an ambassador for the Red Cross Society of China. He donated $62,500 from the film's box office earnings to their psychological aid project. Although Jet didn't quit acting, he transitioned to other roles. In 2007, he agreed to star alongside Jason Statham in the action film War.
Remember the night we met?
Remember my partner blowing your face off?
You left today, only because of what he did.
I left today only to kill you, you miserable.
Meet me there.
The two had previously worked together, and Jason immediately accepted the role upon hearing that Jet was involved. However, Jet was dissatisfied with both the movie and the filming process. He spoke poorly of director Philip G. Atwell and admitted that he predicted the film's failure from the start. Turning east. At the end of 2007, the Chinese Hong Kong historical drama The Warlords premiered, for which Jet Li earned $13 million.
大家都是朝廷的兵，约好联手消灭敌军，刽子营出尔反尔，寡不敌众，我的兄弟就这样死光了。
He agreed to star in the film because of its anti-war theme, and his performance won him the Hong Kong Film Award for Best Actor, and a nomination at the Asian Film Awards. In 2008, Jet Li appeared alongside Jackie Chan in the action fantasy The Forbidden Kingdom. That same year, he played the main villain in the adventure action film The Mummy: Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
战到尔等，为望广施正义于天下。尔等随朕跨越长城。
During his time working in the US, Jet Li became the US citizen. However, in 2009, he decided to renounce his American citizenship. He chose to settle his family in Singapore, citing the country's excellent education system as essential for his younger daughters. Since Singapore doesn't allow dual citizenship, Li gave up both his Chinese and American passports. Despite this, he wasn't labeled a traitor in China, as happens to many celebrities in similar situations. In fact, he starred in the epic film The Founding of a Republic, released to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the People's Republic of China. The movie featured many well-known Chinese actors, with Jet portraying Admiral Chen Xiaoquan.
8年抗战，与国家的敌人作战，打光了，拼光了，没话说。可如今胜利了，还打？打谁呀？
At the same time, Jet launched his own fitness program called Wushu, which combines elements of Wushu, yoga, and Pilates. Adidas even created a clothing line for the program, featuring Jet's initials, JL. In 2010, Jet starred in the American action film The Expendables, directed by Sylvester Stallone.
Me and Christmas are gonna head down to Valina and scout the island to see if we should take the job.
How much do you pay? I need more money for my family.
What family?
My family.
He reprised his role in the second and third films of the franchise. First dramatic role. In June of the same year, Jet took on his first full dramatic role in the Chinese film Ocean Heaven. He played Sam Wong, a man diagnosed with a terminal illness, trying to prepare his autistic son for life without him.
肝癌晚期，这是真的？
我怎么能拿这事开玩笑啊？大福7岁的时候啊，他妈意外走了，我是他唯一的亲人。如果我也走了，这大福待在哪儿啊？
The film had a modest budget of just $1 million, and initially, no one wanted to take a chance on such a non-commercial story. However, Jet fell in love with the script and admitted that he cried while reading it, which is why he agreed to work for free. The subject of autism hit close to home for Jet, as his nephew was diagnosed with the condition. Ocean Heaven received rave reviews and won several awards at the Shanghai International Film Festival. However, the role was challenging for Jet, especially the underwater scenes, as he didn't know how to swim before filming began. A more significant issue during the production of Ocean Heaven was Jet's health. He initially ignored his lack of appetite, but at one point, he fainted and had to seek medical help. Doctors diagnosed him with hyperthyroidism, a condition that affects the thyroid gland, causing fatigue, weight loss, and rapid heartbeat. Jet's resting heart rate was between 130 to 140 beats per minute, and doctors advised him to avoid physical exertion and take medication. This health scare led Jet to focus more on his charitable work, and in 2011, he co-founded Taiji Zen, a lifestyle company aimed at promoting health and happiness for all, alongside Chinese entrepreneur Jack Ma. Later that year, Jet starred in the fantasy film The Sorcerer and the White Snake and the adventure movie Flying Swords of Dragon Gate.
拿来酿酒也要知道是谁的尸骸。你听清楚，我叫赵怀安。不过你不用白费心思记了，我会在你的狗头上刻上我的名字，让你死得明明白白。哦。
Between the sequels of The Expendables, Jet also appeared in the Chinese action film Badges of Fury, though it didn't gain much popularity. In 2016, he was featured in the fantasy film League of Gods. Money isn't everything. Around this time, Jet Li revealed that he had recovered from his illness, but continued to monitor his thyroid health regularly. His old injuries also still bother him, so he became more selective about his projects. Money isn't everything. Health is more important, Li said. Interestingly, he was initially set to star in the 2017 action-adventure film Triple X, Return of Xander Cage, but was replaced by Donnie Yen. Instead, Jet appeared with other action stars in the short film Guardians of Martial Arts. Li was soon offered a role in Disney's live-action adaptation of Mulan, but he initially wanted to decline. His 15-year-old daughter Jane, however, was upset. Why wouldn't you take part in a Disney movie when they're making a project about Chinese culture? Jane was joined by her younger sister Jada, and together, they convinced their father to accept the role. This was the first time his daughters had made such a request, so Jet immediately agreed to play the Emperor in Mulan.
In gratitude for your service and dedication, I invite you to take your place with our greatest decorated warriors as an officer in the Emperor's Guard.
Though there's no official news of Jet's future projects, John Wick director Chad Stahelski has expressed interest in having him join one of the franchise's upcoming installments. Li's philosophy. Jet Li has said that he's already conveyed his most important messages in his past films. In Hero, 2002, his message was that the suffering of an individual is never as significant as the suffering of a nation. Unleashed, Danny the Dog illustrates that violence is never a solution. Through Fearless, 2006, Jet conveys that a person's greatest enemy is often themselves. Buddhism has helped Jet overcome life's challenges. He's followed its teachings for many years and even considered becoming a monk. Li believes in karma and is convinced that actions determine destiny. He feels that if more people took responsibility for their lives, recognizing that they write their own story, the world would be a happier place. Li takes his fame in stride, knowing it's beyond his control, so he doesn't worry about it. However, he does care deeply about the state of Wushu, believing that it has lost its individuality, with modern practitioners focusing too much on physical prowess. According to Jet, the essence of martial arts lies not in strength or speed, but in inner harmony. He wishes to see Wushu return to a form of art where each master has their unique style. In his personal life, Jet believes his greatest weapon is his smile, and his greatest strength is love. He cherishes spending time with his family. His older daughters lead private lives, while the younger ones are more active on social media. Jada is studying at Barnard College in New York, and Jane is at Harvard University. Jane gained public attention in 2019 by participating in Le Bal des Débutantes, the world's most prestigious debutante ball. Jet has a great relationship with his ex-wife and adores his current wife, Nina, claiming he'd give his life for her. Jet says he never gets bored in his free time. He enjoys playing badminton, table tennis, cycling, reading, and meditating. He also collects rare Tibetan prayer beads. Material wealth. Jet Li's net worth is estimated at $250 million, earned mainly through his acting career, though he has also done some advertising work. For instance, He endorsed the Philippine beer brand San Miguel and the Sony PlayStation 2 gaming console. In preparation for obtaining Singaporean citizenship, Jet purchased a home in the Bukit Timah district in 2009 for $15 million US, around 20 million Singaporean dollars. His 3-story mansion is one of the largest in the area. Lee also owns property in Shanghai, his wife's hometown, valued at $40 million US. The house is the size of an average shopping mall and was bought in 2008. However, it remained unused and fell into disrepair after 10 years, with its walls covered in grime and the interior turning into dormitories for security guards. Little is known about Jet's car collection, although it's rumored that he owns a BMW 745. Interestingly, more is known about the cars his movie characters drove. For example, the 2004 Spiker C8 Spider from War was auctioned off for $200,000, with only a few minor damages that were repaired before the sale.
Wow, you were great.
Damn, that was hard.
Thanks.
Are you eagerly awaiting new Jet Li films, or are you content enjoying the ones he's already made?